Some doors lead to new places, some doors lead to secrets, and some should never be opened. The door that shouldn't exist. Elliot first noticed the door the night his father disappeared. It was small, barely 4 feet high, built into the base of the hallway wall in their crumbling old house. It had always been there, he supposed, though he had never really thought about it. But now that his father was gone, Elliot felt as if the house itself was watching him. And that tiny black door at the end of the hall, it was waiting, the unspoken role. He had lived in that house all his life, but his parents had never spoken of the door. It had no knob, no keyhole, only a smooth black surface that seemed too dark, as if it were swallowing the light around it. His mother wouldn't even look at it. When he finally asked about it, she flinched, as if he had spoken a curse. "Never touch that door, Elliot," she whispered. Her hands trembled as she gripped his shoulders. "If you ever hear knocking, do not answer." That night, Elliot barely slept. His father had been gone for 2 days now. Had he gone through the door? Where could it lead? As he lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, he heard a knock, knock, knock. His blood turned to ice. The sound came from the tiny black door. He pressed his pillow over his ears, but the knocking didn't stop. It only grew louder, more insistent. Then, finally, it stopped, and Elliot fell into a restless, fevered sleep. Something is missing. The next morning, he felt off. The house seemed emptier. His mother sat at the kitchen table, staring blankly at the wall. Her coffee cup sat in front of her, cold, untouched. Elliot frowned. "Where's Lily?" he asked, realizing his little sister was nowhere to be found. His mother blinked. "Ew." Elliot stared at her. His mother's face was eerily blank, as if she had forgotten how to express emotion. "Lily." "My sister." His mother slowly shook her head. "You don't have a sister." Elliot felt sick. He ran upstairs, throwing open Lily's bedroom door, only to find an empty guest room. No toys, no bed, no signs of her ever existing. But Elliot remembered. He remembered her laugh. He remembered braiding her hair when their mother was too tired. He remembered the stories they whispered under the covers at night. And then he remembered something else. The knocking. A door that taped. Elliot ran to the hallway. The black door looked exactly the same, but now it had a handprint on it. A faint, Lily's handprint. Elliot's breath came in short gasps. He pressed his hands to his head, his mind fracturing with something too terrible to comprehend. His mother was humming in the kitchen, as if nothing had happened. But she was different. Everything was different. Something was missing. Not just Lily, other things. The smell of their father's cologne, the family photos on the wall, the feeling of warmth in the house. It was like the house itself had been altered, rewritten, as if the black door had taken something, pulled it from existence, leaving only a hollow space in Elliot's mind where it used to be. The knock that called his name. That night, Elliot lay awake, staring at the ceiling. His mind was spinning. He had a sister. He had a father. And that door took them. As he gritted his teeth, his heart hammering against his ribs, he heard it again. Knock, knock, knock. And then, a whisper. Elliot. His stomach clenched so hard he almost gagged. He turned onto his side, squeezing his eyes shut. But the knocking grew louder. The voice became clearer. Elliot. Let me out? His breath stopped. It wasn't Lily's voice. It wasn't his father's. It was something else. Something old. Something hungry. Tears burned in his eyes. His mother had told him never to answer. What if he did? Would he get them back? Would he remember what had been taken? Elliot climbed out of bed, his legs weak, his hands trembling. He stepped into the hallway. The black door seemed taller now, stretching toward the ceiling like a gaping mouth waiting to be fed. He reached out and placed his hand on the surface. The moment he touched it, a wave of cold dread washed over him, like something was pressing its face against the other side, waiting for him. He swallowed hard, and then knocked back. The door that opens and never closes. The next morning, the house was quiet. The sun spilled weakly through the windows. Elliot's mother sat at the kitchen table, staring at her cold coffee. She blinked slowly, as if waking from a dream. Then she frowned. Elliot, her voice wavered. She turned, eyes scanning the empty kitchen. She stood up, checked the bedrooms, checked the closet, checked the backyard. But the house was empty, and at the end of the hallway, the black door was gone, as if it had never been there at all. Some doors lead to new places, some doors lead to secrets, and some lead to something that should never be let out. If you ever hear knocking from a door that shouldn't exist, do not answer, because if you do, you may not exist either.